My parents gave me a bag. If my husband hadn't followed his instincts, we wouldn't be here to share this tale. His face drained of color and he murmured, "Turn the car around." Now, we were just 10 minutes from the Canadian border, our kids dozing in the back, and I was chuckling over a joke he never told. He didn't shout or lose his composure. He just stared forward as if watching a timer count down to disaster. I trusted him. I took the exit. When I learned the reason why, my view of my parents changed forever. The plan was simple. Leave early, snacks in the back, coffee up front, drive a few hours, cross into Canada, visit friends I hadn't seen in ages, and fake enthusiasm for potato salad. It was supposed to be ordinary, almost dull, which was the point. I was behind the wheel. I always am, mainly because my husband brakes too late, and also because car sickness is one of my many gifts. The kids, ages 5, 7, and 10, were half awake in the back, glued to a cartoon and bickering over imaginary lines on the seats. 3 little whirlwinds in matching neck pillows. It was fine, not enchanting, not awful, just fine. Then he said it, "Turn around now." I didn't react immediately. I smirked, assuming it was a bad joke. "Why?" I asked. He didn't answer right away, just stared ahead and repeated, "Please turn around." That's when I knew he wasn't kidding. My husband doesn't lose his cool. His default is steady, calm, occasionally exhausted. I've seen him put out a stove fire with less fuss. So I took the last exit before the border, a gentle curve that felt like the road offering me an out. His shoulders eased slightly as we left the highway, not fully, but enough to show he'd been bracing for something. "Okay," I said. "Care to explain now?" He shook his head. "Just drive. Drive where?" "Anywhere but there." The kids started to notice. "Are we going the wrong way?" my 7-year-old asked. "We forgot something," I said automatically. "What? I'll tell you later." The 5-year-old piped up. "Is it snacks?" I didn't answer. My husband stayed silent for a long while. We drove quietly, 20 minutes, maybe more, just trees and a weight pressing on my chest. Then he said, "Take the next turnoff." It led to a narrow, unmarked road, the kind you find only when you're lost or about to be. I pulled over. He unbuckled and got out, heading to the trunk. I couldn't see from my seat, so I waited, hands clammy, heart pounding unevenly like it knew something I didn't. After a minute, the trunk shut. He came to my window. "Can you step out?" "Why? I need you to see this." His voice wasn't angry or afraid, just weary and certain. I got out. He led me to the trunk and opened it. He didn't say a word, just pointed. I looked, and my breath stopped. Not fear, not yet. It was something slower, heavier, like sinking through the foundation of my life. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. I knew we'd been one wrong move from losing everything. I always thought I was the dependable one in the family, not just in terms of paying bills or wearing sunscreen, though I do those too. I thought I was the steady one, the one who didn't implode, disappear, or lie for kicks. The one who helped when I could and set limits when I couldn't. But looking back, being the dependable one in my family was like being the sober driver in a crash derby. They didn't want help, they wanted a shield. I provided that shield for years. It started when I was young. My parents believed life was about appearances, not finances. If you looked prosperous and generous, if your holiday lights were perfect and your fridge held 6 kinds of mustard, you were winning. It didn't matter if the credit cards were maxed or the heat was off. We were fine. That was the story, and you stuck to it or got erased. Some years were lean, cereal for dinner, one parent working late, which I later realized meant hiding our struggles. Other years they had money, but the new car, TV, or patio set was barely used. The cash came and went like rain, but the spending never stopped. I once asked my dad why we didn't save during good times. He said, "You don't save if you know how to hustle." I was 8. My brother soaked it all up, the hustle, the charm, the ability to light up a room while quietly sapping your confidence. He was their favorite, no secret there. Not even a cruel one, just the truth. They loved him more, they understood him, he was like them. I wasn't. They called me dull sometimes to my face, too serious. My mom once said mid-Thanksgiving that my problem was mistaking discipline for personality. Where's the spark? I believed them. In a family like that, you learn love comes from being useful, tidy, sensible. So that's what I became. They'd call when they needed help, insurance forms, school applications, or when my brother lost another job and someone had to step in. I gave what I could, not too much, just enough to keep things from collapsing, to avoid being the villain. Even when it hurt. Even when every no was spun as selfish. I gave because they were my parents, because it felt easier than the alternative. Then the ask changed. 4 months before the trip, my brother's son, my nephew, was struggling at school. They said he was bullied, didn't fit in, was anxious, withdrawn. A therapist suggested a smaller setting, and they found a private school, elite, pricey, transformative. They couldn't afford it, but got him conditionally accepted if they paid a deposit. They needed a little help just for the deposit. They'd pay me back, of course. My gut sank when they asked. I cared about my nephew, which made it worse. But I knew this game, how it started and ended. I said no carefully, like speaking to someone holding a fragile blade. I can't afford private school. I have 3 kids. We don't do private school. I'm sorry. They didn't yell. They went cold. My mom said, "Of course, I forgot. You have limits." Then we didn't talk for a while until the reunion. Suddenly, they were warm again, thrilled to see us. They'd sorted everything, the school, the reunion, the drive. I didn't ask how. I told myself it wasn't my business. They asked if we could carry an extra bag in our SUV since their car was full. "Sure," I said. "Just let me know." A few days before the trip, my dad handed me a red duffel. "Won't fit in ours," he said. "Just this." I took it without a thought, tossed it in with our bags, the kids' backpacks, and a cooler of juice boxes. I didn't unzip it. I didn't question why they were suddenly so calm, why people who'd struggled to pay for groceries and guilt-tripped me for not helping were now fine. They waved as we pulled out of their driveway, smiling like they had no worries. For a moment I thought, strange, they seemed so happy. I brushed it off. Just another bag, another trip, another family mess I didn't want to touch. Maybe I should have asked more, maybe I was too trusting. At the trunk he didn't sound angry or scared, just tired and sure. "I need you to see this," he said. I stepped out. He opened the trunk, unzipped the red duffel, and pushed aside a sweatshirt. That's when time froze. Packets tucked between clothes, stuffed in a kid's toiletry bag, sealed in plastic. Not one. Not well hidden, just under layers that wouldn't fool a border guard for a second. I stared, not fully grasping, then understanding all at once. Not medicine, not supplements. Nothing that didn't scream handcuffs, lawyers, or news reports couldn't speak. My chest locked up like drowning in slow motion. He didn't say, "Look what they did." He didn't say, "I knew it." He just zipped the bag shut and let the silence speak. I stepped back, gravel crunching like it belonged to another world. "They put that in our car," I said, my voice faint. He nodded. "With the kids." Another nod. I looked at the sky, still blue, still perfect, as if it didn't know what was happening. I hated that. "How did you know?" I asked. He didn't answer right away, just stared at the closed trunk like it was still open in his mind. "When they handed us the bag," he said finally, something in their eyes. The way they smiled, like it was already done, like they knew it'd work. He shrugged, shaking off the memory. "I couldn't shake it the whole drive. Then, just before the border, it clicked." He looked at me. I wasn't sure, but I knew. And that was worse, someone else seeing what I'd trained myself to ignore. I walked back to the driver's seat, got in, shut the door, and sat, letting the heat from the windshield sink in as my hands trembled. Then I started the car and drove. The kids didn't ask again, lost in their cartoon, forgetting Canada, their cousins, and the little toy bags I'd packed for the reunion. We drove for hours, highways, side roads, aimless. My phone buzzed. My mom first, then my dad. I didn't answer. Neither did he. We didn't need to. We knew what they'd say. "Where are you? What happened? Are you okay? Where's the bag?" We didn't reply, just drove, the screen flashing like a silent alarm. We ended up at their house. It felt automatic, like we were pulled there. We didn't discuss it. We both knew what had to be done. I parked in their driveway. The porch light was on, left from the night before. He got out, went to the trunk. I followed, no words. I grabbed the spare key from under the mat, still taped to the fake rock my dad bought from a catalog that also sold birdhouses and wind chimes. He opened the door. The house smelled of stale coffee and cleaning spray. We set the red duffel in the hallway, like a bomb that didn't need to go off to ruin everything. He locked the door behind us. We got back in the car, still silent, as if speaking would taint something. Later, when the kids were asleep and the house was still, I answered the phone. It was my mom, her voice bright and fake like she was calling about a recipe. "Oh, honey, we were so worried you just vanished." I said nothing. "Is everything okay?" Silence. "Where's the bag?" I let that hang. Then I said, "We left it at your house. If it was that important, maybe you should have carried it yourself." Her voice didn't shift, but I heard it, the hitch, the moment she knew I knew. She said nothing. Neither did I then. I said, "We're done. Don't call again." I hung up. No yelling, no speech, just a line drawn, a door shut. That should have been the end. It wasn't. They showed up on Wednesday, unannounced, no text, no shame. The doorbell rang like they were dropping off cookies. I knew it was them before I looked. There's a heaviness that seeps through a door, like a bad smell, when it's people who think they're innocent. I opened the door just enough to step outside and closed it behind me. My parents stood there as if they hadn't tried to shatter my life with a grin and a duffel. My mom flashed a tight smile, meant to look warm but missing my eyes. "We wanted to check in," she said, like I'd ghosted a coffee date. My dad added, "Thought we could clear things up." I crossed my arms and waited. My mom faltered, then said, "We didn't know how much you understood." There it was, the slip. They knew I knew. They just didn't realize I believed myself. I tilted my head. "You mean the bag?" No answer, that was enough. "You put it in our car," I said, "with your grandkids in the back." My mom swallowed. "We didn't think it was a big deal," she said. "It wasn't anything," my dad added, voice steady. "Just something to help with the debt, that's all." "We were desperate," my mom chimed in. "You wouldn't help." There it was, their go-to excuse, the one-size-fits-all defense. As if their betrayal was my fault for saying no, I didn't scream or cry. "You didn't just betray me," I said. "You risked our lives, your daughter, your son-in-law, your grandkids." My dad shifted. My mom blinked like she might cry but couldn't. "We're done," I said. "Don't call, don't come here, you don't see the kids, this is over." My mom opened her mouth, ready with "You're overreacting," or "You'll get over it." Instead, she said, "You'll come around." "You always do." I turned, went inside, and locked the door. For the first time, I didn't wonder if she was right. 3 days later, I went to pick up the kids from school. They weren't there. My stomach plummeted. I stared at the teacher like she'd said my house was gone. "Oh, they were picked up," she said like it was nothing. "Your parents said you asked them to." I don't remember driving, just being in the car, the engine humming. They were at my parents' house, of course. It looked like a carnival exploded. Balloons, candy, toys, a Lego set worth more than my grocery bill. The kids were buzzing, sugar-fueled, clutching new treasures, laughing like it was a theme park. My parents played the part, my mom cutting cake, my dad on the floor with a beeping gadget. It was bizarre, like stepping into a world where they were doting grandparents. But they weren't. This wasn't love. It was a ploy, affection as a weapon. They'd never spoiled the kids before, not like this. But after we cut them off, suddenly they're Santa with a credit card. I stood there trying to remember what it felt like to give them the benefit of the doubt. I couldn't. "We're leaving," I said. The kids groaned. "Why?" Grandma said. "We're leaving now." They didn't get it. How could they? They'd been told yes by people who'd always said no. They loved it. It was easy to love. "Can we keep the toys?" one asked, hugging a stuffed bear like it held secrets. I hesitated, then said yes. Taking the toys would make me the bad guy, and I wouldn't let my parents win. As we left, my mom called out, soft and syrupy, "They'll come back to us." "They always do." She said it like a vow, like she still thought she'd win. That night, I sat on the bed, looked at my husband, and said, "We have to leave." He didn't ask why, he didn't need to. "I don't want them near the kids. Not at school, not at the store, not down the street pretending they're harmless." He nodded, already there. "You mentioned North Carolina before," he said. "My company has an office there, my parents are nearby. I wasn't ready then." "I am now," he nodded again. "The transfer's still open." "Good," I said. "Let's do it." No drama, no hesitation, just a quiet choice to cut the cord and not look back. I didn't need revenge. I needed distance and a clean slate where they couldn't follow. Months later, we were in North Carolina. The mountains were stunning, the air crisp with pine and possibility. The kids started new schools. His parents 20 minutes away were kind, stable, and drama-free, eager to help. We told no one where we went. Blocked numbers vanished, not in a dramatic, soul-searching way, but because peace is something we all earned. One day, a call came from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was my cousin, someone I rarely spoke to. "Hey, your mom says she doesn't know where you are. She's upset. Said you cut contact. I don't know what's going on, but family's family." I deleted it. I didn't call back. I didn't explain. All that mattered was this. We were safe. We were free. We didn't vanish. We escaped. 6 months later, new state, new school, new rhythms. I was almost used to not checking my phone with dread. The quiet was still strange, but less unnerving. Then an email from my brother arrived. Subject: "Urgent, please read." I stared at it, tempted to delete it, mark it as spam. I opened it. It was chaotic, rambling, barely punctuated. The core: my parents were arrested again. Not for what they tried with us, though that played a part, but for doing it themselves. No middleman, no family fall guy, just a trunk full of product and 2 60-somethings who thought rules were optional. They were caught. The email ended with a plea. They needed help, money for a lawyer. "This is serious. You have to put the past aside, your family." I read that line 3 times. Then I hit reply. All I wrote was, "I showed up once, I won't again." I meant it. I didn't hear more for a while. I didn't need to. But word trickled back, as it does. Cousins talk. Family roots run deep even when they're rotten. They were charged with possession with intent to distribute and crossing an international border with controlled substances. A few pounds, enough for intent, not enough for infamy. They took a plea deal, 4 years each. Not earth-shattering, but not nothing. Enough time to think if they were capable of it, which I doubt. The part of me that used to flinch at talk of second chances is quiet now. We have a life here. It's not flawless, but it's ours. The kids laugh more. My husband sleeps easier. And I haven't had to turn guilt into silence in a long time.